Hi Aries, this is Lee at Fresh Astrology and welcome to your 2018 forecast and January as well. They're really kind of one and the same. We're looking at the first day of January and looking at the major themes setting up for the year. On my website, I also have a longer uh, prediction recording that you can download there if you want to go look there. My website is www.freshastrology.com. So, Aries, we are looking at, for some of the signs, a really beautiful kite formation, like a flying kite. It's symbolic, it's interesting to look at on the chart sort of geometrically, but it's sort of symbolic too. Think of what a kite does. It soars, it flies, it captures wind. They're pretty to look at. People have fun flying kites. There are all kinds of associations. There's a certain amount of technology used, but it's very simple. Um, Anybody can do it. So it's not, the magic of the kite does not exclude anyone. So what does it mean in your chart? Well, we look at where the points of the kite has four, a simple kite has 4 points. So we look at those points, what they're pointing at, how they're connecting to the other points, what's there. So we're looking at an assortment, an assemblage of planets here, plus, the moon and the sun. And the predominant energy with the kite is water. We are in a time of fire energy shifting through this year, right before the year and through the year, shifting, and there's a little bit of, one step back, 2 steps forward, a little bit of push and pull with Uranus, especially in your sign. But, overall, the energy is moving from fire to earth. But it's interesting on the first day of this year how it's all about the water energy and Capricorn. Capricorn kind of completes and makes, instead of it just being a triangle between the 3 water signs, it pulls out toward Capricorn and includes all the major stuff that's going on in Capricorn right now. Normally at this time of year you would have some Capricorn energy because the sun will be there. And, usually Mercury and Venus are in close proximity, so sometimes they'll all be right there together. But this year you've got Pluto, which has been there for a while. That's a heavyweight influence. Now you've got Saturn coming in. And so it's really weighted down there. And where it's showing up for an Aries is the top of your chart in the 10th house, which is your area of future direction, but not in the sense of the 11th house. This has to do with your direction, your status in the community, how people see you as a leader, maybe, as a parent, maybe. Sometimes it has to do with, like a marital change, like your marital status will change. You'll get married, you'll get divorced, you'll get engaged. That can be a type of status conferred. And also, at a job, you might get a promotion or a raise, or you might get a new job or a new title of some sort, new responsibility. With Saturn here, new responsibility. So what in your life is changing in your career area? What's shifting? Are you taking on new responsibilities? Do you have a new title? Are you taking a new job? Are you starting your own company? And it should be growing. Something's growing up here. So I think it's a great time to be in the job market. It's a great time to be starting your own company. I think a lot of you have already things have been in progress. Doesn't seem like it's a totally new thing because Pluto's been here so long. There may be new elements, new things coming in. I think definitely new elements, definitely new things coming in to the world of your career direction, and maybe your status in the world. For those of you who don't work at all, it has more to do with your status in the world and how you're identifying publicly. It may be that you're like carrying kind of a leadership position in your community anyway. So maybe you don't work, but you carry some kind of public attention around with you, I guess is the best way to say it. You draw attention to yourself in public. And that public could also these days mean on Instagram, Facebook, through the gossip mill. You know, maybe you don't feel like you're up on a stage anywhere, but somehow you're garnering attention and people are aware of something that you're doing that is public, and it's gathering steam. So I think it's an exciting time. It depends on what's going on in your world, and with Saturn and Pluto, it depends on, how have you been, throughout your life, dealing with any power you've had. How have you been dealing with boundary issues? So if there are problems with the way you've been using and wielding power, and there are problems with the way you've been dealing with boundaries, this could be in the public eye. We do have, I don't know how many people have Aries in their chart who are in this situation. We do have a big news cycle around people crossing boundaries, especially men crossing boundaries in the workplace, which is kind of here. And Aries carries kind of the universal chart, so it makes sense that for all of us, we're seeing this in the news cycle. It's up there prominently, for all to see. All these news stories. And so there may be Aries, both men and women, people just kind of involved in these stories who are up in the spotlight. So hopefully that's not you. But it's like that in your world. In your world you may feel like you've got a light shining on you, and a lot of attention. You may feel pressure to perform a certain way. It may feel a little claustrophobic out there in the spotlight, like you can't escape it in some cases. And not necessarily because that there's a bad thing going on for you, but just sometimes it's hard. Sometimes people yearn for the spotlight. They'd love some attention. They'd love, people to be paying attention to their company or something, or their product. And then suddenly they get all the attention, and then it's kind of the deer in the headlights. Suddenly it's so much. It's surprising. So what's going on for you, I guess is my question. The tail of the kite, down on the opposite end of the chart, is this moon in Cancer down in the 4th house. Very much, that all three of those symbolisms, the moon, Cancer, 4th house. So it's all about the home, all about the family, all about the women in your family, all about the females. And maybe parenting children. But that the way this is pulling on your chart, it may be that you feel pulled between these two things. If there's a lot going on in your career, which it looks like there is, or even just your public life, maybe your social life, maybe you've got an active social life, or you're actively volunteering for a charity or something, but something's going on in your public world for sure, if it's not your career. You may feel, tension between home and this, whatever this is. And maybe a female at home pulls at your attention. So it could be, a child. It could be a parent pulls for your attention. It could be, a spouse or a partner, a roommate. Somebody's pulling for your attention here. And your heart is there. You do want to pay attention to this. This is your moon. So even though it can symbolize a person, it's also your heart. So there's a person. Now, this can sometimes symbolize the past. There could be a woman from your past or a Cancerian man. So somebody from your past who pulls at your heart. And it could be because of a woman in your past that you're in the public eye. That kind of loops us back around to the news cycle. It could be a woman from your past or a nurturing influence that made it possible for you to. So if it wasn't a woman, it was just a nurturing influence from your past made it possible or for you to be where you are in your career. Or maybe there are people who make it possible for you to be where you are. Something like that. So for people looking for a job, it's a great time to allow friends, to take your resume and share it wherever they work. It's a great time to let people refer you over somewhere, because that looks like where, if you're not actively helping someone in your home setting or a parent or someone who's female, if you're not caring for them, they could be caring for you and helping you get where you need to be. And it could be kind of a mishmash of all of that. So what's the lesson here for the year? So it's interesting because I've done Leo. I don't think I've done Sagittarius yet, but the points of the kite, other than Capricorn, which is hitting your 10th house, they all hit the psychological houses. So it's a time of great change for you psychologically. You do have this year Uranus moving out of your sign and into your second house. So again, a huge career year for you. Probably a good money year for you, like one of the biggest money years you've had. But it's not all about the money. It's not all about the job. There's also something very deeply psychological going on for you this year. And it may be an emotional year for you in many ways. It may be quite emotional. And when I say the word emotional, especially to fire signs, I'm very aware that it lands, and I know my fire signs, I've got a lot of them in my family and my friendship circles. We've got a lot of fire signs going on. And fire signs don't love to wallow in emotion. They kind of want to just move through it, like they're action oriented. They kind of want to move through it like it's the jungle and push it aside like it's weeds. Just like, let's just move through this emotion really fast. And that's how they get so much stuff done. That's why they're perceived to be fiery. They're doers, they're movers, they're shakers. But nobody, not even the fire signs, can eliminate emotion. It's just there. We live with emotion. It's like separating us from air. Breathing air and water, having water to drink and, water in our bodies. We can't separate out surgically emotion. It's a part of the soup we swim in, like we swim through air and we swim through a world filled with water, or water vapor, snow, ice. It's a part of our world. We can't escape emotions. Not healthily. So the emotions are always there for all of us. I think people get a little, they flinch at that word because they think, oh, it's sad emotion or angry emotion or a bad emotion. Plus, emotions get a bad rap. People want to separate themselves from this thing that you really can't separate from. So Aries, the year, I say all that because this is a year when the emotions are key, and we do need our emotions, and we need to honor them and not always rush through them, not always push them away, but not to get overwhelmed by them either. We don't want them to slam us to the floor. We don't want a tsunami of emotions coming in and making us, just devastating us either. There's a happy medium here. It looks like you get a lot of help dealing with your emotional world and psychological world this year, should you want the help. It's there for you. Also, what I told Leo, and I'll tell you, is when you get your emotional world in a good place and you can deal with it in a healthy way, your financial world will improve, as will your real estate value, and your spiritual world. That has a lot of, arguably the most value, your connection to your spiritual world. That gets heightened when we can sit with our emotions and not rush around so much. So there's a lot here for the fire signs that says slow down. and allow the emotions to be there and allow yourself to feel your emotions, which I laugh because I just know you guys, and it's like, no, we're going to get through the jungle and we're going to push these things aside. Where's my machete? Um, that those are the people I know who, and very kind people, very these are not the typical Aries, Mars kind of archetypes. They're also very kind and compassionate people, but they do not love sitting in the emotional, especially if they're strong emotions. But this is a year to really try to slow down and feel the emotions. Why? Well, if you're trying to go places in your career, it will absolutely help you. The more you can sit with your emotions and get clear there, like do that internal work, the more your financial world will improve. So whatever you're trying to do financially and in your career, it will take off in a healthier way when you're healthier in here with your emotional world. And to get healthier in here, you've got to do there's certain ways to do that. So I do life coaching, one-on-one life coaching, if anyone's interested. We work a lot on this. We do what's called thought work to try to understand why we have the emotions we do and how we can harness them, how we can tweak them, how we can relieve ourselves of unpleasant emotions. We work on that a lot. So if you want one-on-one coaching, I recommend it for this exact purpose. But if that scares you and it just sounds too intense, you're not sure you want to do it, I am starting up a group coaching session where we also work on astrology at the same time. So we will devote part of the group sessions to learning about astrology and answering questions and having group discussion. We will then also do some group coaching, and I'll take volunteers and I'll coach live over the phone. So you might want to start with that because this is the year for you to do stuff like this. My course will start up in January and go for 6 weeks. Each week we'll have a 90-minute phone call, and we'll have a private Facebook group so you can continue the discussion there, and I'll pop in every so often. I won't be there all the time, but I'll pop into the Facebook group and say hello and maybe answer a few questions, but it's mostly for you guys. And then there'll come a time when maybe I won't be there at all. It'll just be kind of, you have ownership over it. But anyway, it's going to be fun, and this is a time, if you don't do it through the vehicles I'm offering, it's a time to really work on yourself this year in a fun way. Have fun with it. Nurture yourself and explore yourself in a way that's fun for you, whatever that is. Maybe you're just going to do a lot of self-help reading. Maybe you'll get Audible self-help books. Maybe you'll attend a few seminars. Maybe you'll get, maybe you'll try therapy. I don't know. But, there are many ways to come in and kind of get into this internal world and kind of clear it out, clean it up, to feel clearer. And when you do that, one of the incentives, if you don't just want to do it for yourself, is often, almost always, when you get clear and clean in here, your finances clear up and clean up. And your net worth can go up when your self-worth goes up. So there's some good incentive there. You can do both, and it's interesting how they're intertwined. So that's it. If you want a little bit more information, I have a longer audio that you can download. Come join us in the workshop. There is a special on the pricing up through December 15th. It's $175 for the 6-week program. It will go to $225, still a very good price, but I wanted to encourage people to get in early so I could figure out what the numbers are going to look like. So I encourage you to get the good price and come in early so I have a sense for what we're dealing with in terms of the size of the class. But join us and have a wonderful new year. Take care.